weapon with practiced efficiency. Then we'll make sure there's nothing left standing to break. Tess's gaze flicked to the horizon, where a shadow moved beneath the waves, a metallic limb, glinting with menace. "Something's coming," she whispered. Kael's heart pounded, but his voice was calm. "Prepare yourselves. This is the moment we've been sailing toward. The threshold is crossed." The sea roared, the fog thickened, and the destiny of Steelbone hung in the balance. The voyage had pushed them to the edge, but the true test was just beginning. At the break of a sickly dawn, the crew gathered on the deck, the horizon now a jagged line of rusted wreckage and toxic spray. The forbidden waters stretched before them like an open wound in the world, threatening to swallow them whole. Kael's voice rang out, steady and resolute. "We cross together, no one left behind." Myra's eyes flashed with fierce loyalty for Steelbone. Joran adjusted his cracked glasses, a hint of a smile breaking through his usual quiet demeanor. For Hope, Lena nodded, her warm smile a beacon in the gloom. For family, Grav hefted his weapon, his scarred face grim but determined. "Let's finish this," Tess's youthful voice added, "and survive." With a final surge of the engines, the vessel plunged forward, slicing through the toxic sea and into the unknown. The crossing had begun, and Steelbone's fate sailed with them. Below the churning surface of the toxic sea lay the lost wrecker remnant of a forgotten era, swallowed by the corrosive tides and draped in shadows. The air was thick with a metallic temps, the scent of decay mingling with the ever-present haze that clung to their floating city. Kael stood at the helm, his gaze sharp and unyielding, eyes narrowed against the glare of the polluted sun. "Everyone ready?" Kael's voice cut through the low hum of the engines as the crew prepared for descent. Myra's fiery gaze met his, her jaw set with fierce determination. "Ready as ever?" she replied, tightening the straps of her gear. Joran adjusted his cracked glasses, clutching the lantern that would pierce the murky depths. Lena checked her satchel of herbs and medical supplies one last time, while Grav hefted a reinforced harpoon launcher, his broad frame braced for the unknown. Tess, the youngest among them, bounced lightly on her heels, eyes darting anxiously to the horizon. "Let's get this done," she whispered, voice barely audible over the hum. With a deep breath, Kael gave the order. The vessel's descent began. Beneath the surface, the world transformed. The sunlight fractured into sickly beams that struggled to penetrate the toxic haze, casting eerie shadows across the twisted metal skeleton of the wreck. Rusted plates jutted jaggedly like broken bones, and corroded pipes twisted in grotesque spirals. Joran's lanterns flickered, casting a wavering glow that illuminated the haunting silhouettes of the sunken giant. "Stay close," Kael cautioned, voice low and steady. "We don't know what's waiting down here." The crew moved deliberately, their boots clanking against the uneven metal floor, echoes swallowed by the oppressive silence. Then came the first sound allo, grinding whir that sent a chill down their spines. Mechanical claws scraped against steel, and a pair of glowing eyes blinked open in the gloom. "Mechanical sentinels," Joran whispered, eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. They must have been the wreck's last line of defense. Myra's hand flew to her weapon, muscles coiled like a spring. "Let's show them we're not prey." The sentinels lunged with terrifying speed, gears grinding and pistons hissing as they attacked. The crew scattered, working in unison. Kael's deft mechanical knowledge guided their strikes. Lena's quick hands tended to bruises and burns, and Grav's heavy weapons shattered the beast's metallic limbs. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Sparks flew, mingling with the acrid scent of burning circuits. Myra's fierce shouts cut through the din as she coordinated their movements, while Tess darted through shadows, relaying warnings. Joran's calm voice offered quiet counsel, deciphering the mechanisms of their foes to exploit weaknesses. One by one, the sentinels fell, their bodies crumpling into inert heaps of twisted metal. But the victory was bittersweet. Grav's heavy breathing echoed the exhaustion that weighed on them all. "Keep moving," Kael urged. The artifacts close, navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the wreck. The crew faced crumbling floors and hidden traps, spiked panels that snapped shut like jaws, rusted wires that sparked deadly arcs, and pressure plates that triggered cascading debris. Myra's impulsiveness nearly triggered a collapse, but Kael's quick reflexes saved the group from certain doom, forcing a moment of tense silence. "Careful," Kael warned, voice softer now. "We can't afford mistakes." At last, they reached the heart of the wreck-vast chamber, where the artifact rested atop a pedestal, its surface pulsing with a faint, otherworldly glow. The light cast dancing shadows on the walls, illuminating ancient symbols etched deep into the metal. Kael stepped forward, hand trembling as he reached out. The weight of their journey pressed down on him, the losses endured, the sacrifices made, the fragile hope tethered to this single moment. Suddenly, the water above began to churn, the surface roiling with the ominous approach of unseen threats. "We need to move," Lena urged, her voice edged with urgency. With the artifact secured, the crew began their ascent, hearts pounding as the wreck seemed to groan in protest. Mechanical guardians stirred once more, but the crew's unity and resilience saw them through. Each step a testament to their fierce determination. Emerging into the dim light of the surface, the artifact safe in their possession, Kael allowed himself a rare, fleeting smile. The voyage was far from over, but in this moment, hope flickered bright against the endless toxic sea. The faint glow from their lanterns cast long, trembling shadows across rusted beams and shattered hulls, illuminating the mechanical beasts that stirred in the gloom. Their movements were slow but deliberate, joints creaking and eyes flickering with a malevolent red light that chilled Kael to his core. Behind him, Myra's sharp voice cut through the water, issuing commands to the crew as they spread out cautiously among the ruins. "Stay close. Watch your corners. These things are more cunning than any we've faced before." Joran's gloved hands hovered over a cracked console, reading the faded schematics that hinted at the artifact's resting place. "This way," he signaled, pointing toward a collapsed corridor partially blocked by debris. "The artifact's chamber should be just beyond." Kael nodded, his heart heavy with a mix of hope and dread. The weight of leadership pressed down harder than the sea above them. He had promised his crew salvation, a chance to save Steelbone from the slow decay of its failing engines and dwindling resources. But the price of that promise was becoming painfully clear. A sudden, metallic screech shattered the tense silence. From the darkness, a pack of mechanical beasts erupted, their sharp claws tearing at the water as they lunged toward the crew. Mira was the first to react, her form cutting through the water with practiced precision. Her fists connected with the beast's metal limbs, sparks flying as she dismantled one after another with ruthless efficiency. "Protect Joran," Kael barked, moving to shield the tech specialist from an enforcer wielding jagged blades. Lena was close behind, her satchel of herbs and mechanical first aid kits ready to tend wounds as soon as the fighting paused. The battle raged beneath the sea, a chaotic ballet of survival in the eerie silence of the drowned wreck. Grav's booming voice and steady aim with heavy weapons provided critical support, breaking apart mechanical adversaries with calculated force. Yet each victory came at a cost: winded bodies, frayed nerves, and the gnawing realization that the Warden's forces would not relent. Emerging from the shadows, the Warden himself appeared, a towering figure clad in patchwork armor of metal plates that clinked ominously. His glowing red lenses locked onto Kael with a cold, ruthless intensity. "You should have stayed away," the Warden intoned, voice distorted by the filtered water but no less menacing. "This sea belongs to me. The artifact is mine to command." Kael squared his shoulders, meeting the tyrant's gaze without flinching. "Steelbone belongs to its people. We fight for survival, for hope. Your reign ends here." What followed was a clash of wills and metal, the two leaders engaging in a brutal duel amid swirling debris. The wreck groaned and shifted as the battle tore through its fragile skeleton, the water around them churning with the force of their struggle. Meanwhile, the crew fought valiantly to hold off the Warden's enforcers, their unity tested by exhaustion and fear. Mira's fiery spirits shone brightest against the mechanical onslaught, while Lena's calming presence healed wounds both physical and emotional. As the wreck began to collapse, a sudden tremor sent clouds of silt swirling into the water, obscuring vision and threatening to trap the crew beneath tons of falling metal. Kael realized the dire choice before him: to sacrifice his own safety by holding a collapsing passage, allowing the others to escape with the artifact. With a fierce, bittersweet determination, Kael positioned himself against the crumbling wall, bracing for the impact. His eyes caught the eerie glow of the artifact as it pulsed with an otherworldly light, a beacon of hope amidst the ruin. "Go," he shouted through the comms, voice strained but resolute. "Take it back to Steelbone. Save our city." The crew hesitated, but the urgency in Kael's tone propelled them forward, their silhouettes fading into the darkness as the wreck groaned one final time and the passage sealed behind him. Alone, Kael felt the crushing weight of the sea and his own choices. The cost of leadership, the burdens of past trauma, and the fierce will to survive converged in this moment of sacrifice. Far above, the waters rippled silently, hiding the battle beneath, but in the hearts of those who survived, the fight for Steelbone had only just begun. The artifact, secure and humming with latent power, promised a new dawn for Steelbone. But as the crew swam toward the surface, their minds bore the heavy imprint of loss and loyalty, courage and sacrifice. The final confrontation had tested them beyond measure, yet forged a bond unbreakable of found family united in the endless toxic sea, ready to face whatever lay ahead. And somewhere deep beneath, the Warden's shadow lingered still, a grim reminder that the price of survival was never truly paid in full. The floating city, once a fragile patchwork of scrap and dreams, seemed to hold its breath as the scavenger crew returned from their harrowing voyage. Kael stood at the prow of their vessel, the artifact cradled carefully in his hands, small, intricate mechanism humming with latent power. Around him, the city's failing engines groaned and sputtered, their once steady rhythm now faltering under the strain of years adrift on the toxic sea. A low hum began to spread from the artifact, subtle at first, then growing in intensity until the air vibrated with its pulse. The engines responded in kind, sputtering to life, their weary gears grinding and clanking as the city stirred awake. Sparks flickered along rusted conduits, illuminating the faces of the gathered inhabitants who had come to witness this fragile moment of revival. Kael's eyes, sharp and weary, scanned the crowd as murmurs of disbelief and hope rippled through the masses. Myra's fiery gaze met his, a flicker of unspoken gratitude passing between them. Joran, ever the quiet scholar, adjusted his cracked glasses and studied the artifact's glow with a mixture of awe and reverence. Lena moved among the crew and citizens alike, her satchel of herbs a comforting presence as she tended to the wounded and weary. The city's air, once thick with the stench of decay and despair, seemed to breathe anew. Children ran along the scrap walkways, their laughter tentative but genuine, while the older residents exchanged cautious smiles. Grav's broad shoulders loomed as he oversaw the rebalancing of mechanical systems, his gruff voice cutting through the morning air with orders and reassurances. Kael felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders, a mixture of relief, pride, and a lingering ache for those they had lost. The journey had been perilous, marked by sacrifice and betrayal, but this victory was theirs. Yet, beneath the surface of this fragile hope lay the scars of hardship, the knowledge that survival was an ongoing battle. As the engines found their rhythm, the city's lights flickered hesitantly to life, casting long shadows over the twisted metal and peeling paint. The toxic sea beyond remained an ever-present threat, its horizon endless and merciless. But for now, Steelbone was alive. That evening, the crew gathered on the highest deck, a flickering fire crackling against the chill that crept in with the night. Faces tired yet resolute, they shared stories of the journey, the battles fought, the losses mourned, the small victories that had kept hope alive. Tess, young and agile, recounted her first storm, her voice steady and proud. Myra's sharp wit lightened heavy moments, while Joran's quiet reflections offered perspective and calm. Lena passed around herbal brews, her warm smile a balm to aching bodies and spirits. Grab's deep laughter rumbled like distant thunder, a reminder that strength came in many forms. And Kael, standing among them, felt the fragile bonds of this found family titina, tapestry woven through shared trials and unspoken promises. Yet, as the firelight danced across their faces, shadows lurked beyond the city's edge. The warden's threat had not vanished. It had merely retreated, biding its time. The artifact had granted life, but it had also stirred deeper currents beneath the toxic waves. Kael's gaze drifted to the endless sea, the horizon a dark line against the starlit sky. Questions whispered on the wind. How long could this fragile peace endure? What new dangers awaited their drifting city? The night grew deeper, but within Steelbone, a fierce, bittersweet determination burned brighter than ever. The voyage had changed them all. They had faced loss and fear, betrayal and sacrifice, and now, with the city's engines humming a tentative song of renewal, the crew stood ready to face the uncertain dawn ahead. The patchwork city, a sprawling lattice of rusted scrap and salvaged technology, basked in the soft golden hues that filtered through its corrugated metal walls. The air, heavy with the scent of brine and oil, carried the hum of engines that had once been silent for too long. Now they thrummed steadily, a heartbeat rekindled by the artifact's mysterious power. Steelbone was awakening. Kael stood atop the highest tower of the city, his lean figure silhouetted against the rising sun. His dark hair, streaked with early grays, fluttered in the cool morning breeze. His sharp eyes scanned the endless toxic sea, its surface shimmering with iridescent pollutants and drifting flotsam. The sea was as relentless as ever, but today it seemed less like a looming threat and more like a vast expanse of possibility. Behind him, the city stirred to life. Children scampered through narrow alleys patched with vibrant scraps of cloth, their laughter weaving through the clang of hammers and the murmur of voices. The engines beneath Steelbone's hull vibrated with a newfound strength, pushing the city forward with a steady pulse that spoke of survival and renewal. Mira approached with a bundle of salvaged parts cradled in her arms, her fiery red hair catching the light. Her muscular frame moved with the grace of a scout, every step purposeful. She paused beside Kael, offering a rare smile. Their unspoken bond, forged in fire and desperation, stood as a testament to the found family they had become. "The new turbines are ready," she said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion lingering in her eyes. "Grav's been working through the night to reinforce the hull. This city's not falling apart on our watch." Kael nodded, the weight of leadership settling more lightly on his shoulders. Now that trust had begun to bridge the gaps he had long feared to cross. "Good, we've earned this moment. But we can't forget what's out there." Myra's gaze shifted to the horizon, where the toxic sea stretched endlessly, its surface marred by swirling mists and the faint outlines of mechanical beasts lurking beneath. "We'll be ready, together." Below, in the communal workshop, Jorin bent over a cluttered workbench scattered with ancient schematics and mechanical components. His slender fingers moved with careful precision, fitting a delicate gear into place. The cracked lenses of his glasses caught the flicker of oil lamps, reflecting the quiet determination etched on his pale face. Lena moved beside him, her sun-kissed skin glowing softly in the dim light. She carried a satchel of herbs and mechanical first aid supplies, her warm presence a balm to the uneasy energy that clung to the space. Her nurturing touch steadied Jorin's hand as he adjusted the intricate device, a symbol of the harmony between humanity and technology that Steelbone now embodied. "This should stabilize the energy flow," Jorin murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "If the artifact is truly the key, then this is how we unlock its potential." Lena smiled gently. "And if anyone can figure it out, it's you." Elsewhere, Grav and Tess coordinated the reinforcement of the city's outer defenses. Grav's broad shoulders bore the scars of battles past, his bald head glistening with sweat as he directed the placement of heavy metal plates. Tess, agile and quick, darted between workstations, her sharp eyes scanning the toxic storms brewing beyond the city's fragile borders. "Watch your footing," Grav grunted, lifting a plate into place. "These storms won't wait for us to be ready." Tess nodded, her youthful face set with determination. "I'll keep watch. No storm or scavenger will catch us off guard." The clang of metal against metal echoed through Steelbone, a rhythmic chorus that sang of resilience and rebirth. As the day wore on, the city's inhabitants worked side by side, their hands mending the wounds of a world long broken. The artifact's power had breathed life back into Steelbone, but it was the crew's unwavering spirit that truly forged its future. Kael returned to the heart of the city, where a gathering had formed. Voices rose in hopeful conversation, tales of survival and plans for renewal weaving through the air. Children listened wide-eyed as old Marek recounted stories of Steelbone's past glories and the treacherous seas that surrounded them. Myra stood beside Kael, her green eyes scanning the crowd. "We've come a long way," she said softly, "but the sea still holds secrets and dangers." Kael's gaze hardened with resolve. "Then we'll face them as we always have, together." The sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the scrap city. Steelbone's engines thrummed steadily beneath their feet, a steady pulse of life against the endless toxic sea. The journey had been perilous, the losses deep, but hope had taken root amid desolation. As night fell, the stars shimmered faintly through the smog-choked sky, silent witnesses to a new dawn on the scrap sea. The crew gathered, their faces illuminated by flickering lanterns, the bonds of found family stronger than ever. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for tonight, Steelbone was unbroken and ready to endure. The horizon whispered promises of storms and shadows yet to come, but within the city of scrap and steel, a fierce determination burned bright. The voyage had ended, But the story was far from over. "Rest well," Kael said, voice low but steady. "Tomorrow we build the future." And with that, the city breathed, alive once more. Myra stood at the prow of their salvaging ship, the wind tugging fiercely at her fiery red hair, her sharp green eyes locked on the horizon. The sea beyond was a churning mass of refuse and corrosive mists, a landscape as hostile as any battlefield. Yet here, in this chaotic expanse, Myra found her purpose. But purpose alone had not always been enough. Only days prior, her impulsiveness had nearly cost them dearly. A reckless decision during a skirmish with rival scavengers had left their vessel vulnerable and the crew shaken. The memory gnawed at her, a bitter taste she could neither swallow nor spit out. This voyage was more than survival. It was a test of growth, of tempering fire with steel. Kael's voice crackled over the comlink, steady and measured. "Mirror, status on the starboard engines. We need a full report before we navigate the narrow passage ahead." She swallowed hard, pushing aside the knot of anxiety. "Engines are holding, but there's a misalignment in the secondary compressor. I'm on it now." The cramped engine room was a world apart from the open decks. Here, the hum of machinery meshed with the hiss of steam and the occasional clang of wrench on metal. Myra's hands, scarred from years of combat and repair, moved with practiced precision, guided by Grav's gruff but patient instructions. "Slow and steady wins the race," Grav muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. "Don't let your temper get the better of you, kid." Myra shot him a wry smile, the tension easing just a fraction. Trying not to bear shared focus on the work at hand, forged a momentary truce between impulse and caution. The engines coughed and groaned under their ministrations, but held firm. Later, as the sun dipped low behind the rusted skyline of Steelbone, Myra found herself in the common area, a dimly lit space where the crew gathered to trade stories and solace. Lena sat nearby, her satchel of herbs resting within easy reach, her warm presence a balm to frayed nerves. "You've been quiet," Lena observed softly, her eyes reflecting the flickering lantern light. "What's on your mind?" Myra hesitated, the walls she'd built around her vulnerabilities trembling. "I'm tired of being the loose cannon," she admitted. "I want to be more for the crew, for Kael. I want to lead when it counts." Lena reached across the table, her hands steady and reassuring. "Leadership isn't about never faltering. It's about knowing when to lean on others and when to stand firm. You're already stronger than you realize." The words settled over Myra like a shield, emboldening her resolve. The next challenge came swiftly. A toxic storm, sudden and fierce, swept over the sea, darkening skies and roiling the waters with acidic winds. The crew scrambled to secure the vessel as Myra took charge, her voice cutting through the howling tempest. "Tess, take the starboard watch. Keep the sensors clear and report any mechanical beasts approaching." Tess, young and agile, nodded, her eyes wide but determined. "On it, Myra." Amid the chaos, Myra's commands were a steady drumbeat of control and care. The crew moved as one, weathering the storm's fury with grit born of countless trials. When the skies finally cleared, a heavy silence fell over the deck. Exhaustion mingled with relief as the crew gathered, their eyes reflecting the flickering stars breaking through the dissipating clouds. Kael approached Myra, his gaze sharp but approving. "You held us together out there. I'm proud of you." Myra met his eyes, the weight of her journey reflected in their depths. "I'm learning, for all of us." As the night deepened, Myra allowed herself a rare moment of quiet hope. The sea was still treacherous, and their path uncertain. But within her burned a renewed strength of fierce